Hello, kiddies. It's your old pal, the Crypt Keeper. And you're listening to Three Guys in a Flick. The good, the bad, and the gruesomely absurd.
Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. The show is about to begin.
I bet you never got to play with your daughter. When she gets older, she'll understand why you work so hard. Dads get all the shit and no praise. But it's all about sacrifice, right? What's with the look? Did I sound cool? Welcome back. You are listening to Three Guys in a Flick. This is where we review the good, the bad, and the absurd. Tonight's episode, Train to Busan. Beware spoilers. Coming to you from a bullet train on its way to Busan, my name is Don. And to my right, we have the comic book guy, John.
How you doing tonight?
Good. How are you doing, buddy?
I feel all chewed up and spit out.
Oh, yeah. I kind of get that feeling, too. And pinch hitting tonight for the professor is one of our listeners and returning guest. This is Gerard.
그들은 모두 죽었어.
Third time's a charm. I'm back for third time.
How you doing?
I'm doing well, and I'm glad to talk about this movie and that you actually took it from my suggestion. So I'm happy about that as well.
Excellent. And to add the little cherry on top, this was the first time for both John and myself to watch this movie. So, yeah, excited to talk about it.
And normally, I am anti-subtitle movies, foreign language movies.
Yes, you
So it was a very interesting watch for me.
All right. I can't wait to get into it. Released on July 20th, 2016, Train to Busan was directed by Yeon Sang-ho. A quick disclaimer, we might have some problems with the pronunciation of these names, so we apologize for that up front. We in no mean
Mean to be disrespectful.
That's right. That's right.
Except when you mean to be.
Well, I'm going to try not to be. Screenplay by Park Joo-suk.
You suck.
You suck. You suck. And it stars Gong Yoo, Jung Yoo-mi, Ma Dok-suk, Kim Soo-won, Choi Wook-sik, Ah Soo-hee, Kim Yoo-sung, and a bunch of other names I'm not even going to try to pronounce.
How'd this movie do, Don?
This movie was made for $8.5 million and brought in $98.5 million.
That's kind of a surprise for the budget because it looked like they spent a ton of money on this.
That's what I was thinking as soon as I read that. You know, and I'm sure we'll go into this into more great detail, but I thought this movie was beautiful. But that's just me.
Well, what I thought, one of the ways they kept the budget down was it was all practical. It was just all people in makeup, things like that, on a train. Just had to film those things in a train yard. There wasn't any real special effects in this.
Well, think about that. That's an actual train station, right? That that they're using. Like, what is the company going to charge the production company to shut the whole thing down for however many days they used it?
Right. And I was watching some of the behind the scenes, and they built a train with the side cut out, and then they would put the camera on the dolly, and they would run past the train, and that alone's got to cost money, right? Yeah. So
kudos to them for getting it in at that dollar amount.
Absolutely. $8.5 million in 2016. I mean, to the normal eye, you're like, wow, but in the film world, that's hardly anything.
Yes, that would be called a small independent film budget, right?
But it definitely looks like they put more money into it than they did. So kudos to them.
And the return, the 98.5, that's impressive for a film out of Korea.
So this movie is directed by Yeon Sang-ho. It is a Korean zombie flick. And this is actually the first Korean zombie flick that I've watched. Gerard, have you watched any Korean zombie flicks before?
I'm not 100%. No, I haven't seen the quote-unquote prequel to this or the quote-unquote sequel to this. But I have seen other Korean films that I've enjoyed tremendously. And I wanted to bring something to the table that I thought you guys would enjoy and that John would find believable.
Yeah.
Not like he can't believe that Julia Roberts chose Danny Ocean over Garcia.
You were broadening my horizons and my outlook.
Yeah.
I can see how it is.
I love that. I love that. What did you guys think of the cast of this? They are unknown to me because I don't typically watch Korean films.
Well, one of them was known to you.
Oh, true.
The one who plays, I think, Sang-hwa. I think that was Ma Dong-seok.
Yeah.
Dong-seok. He was Gilgamesh in the Eternals.
Right. Yeah. And I keep thinking when I saw him, God, that guy looks so familiar. And then it dawned on me he was in
Yeah,
the
you look at
Eternals.
his filmography. He's done a ton of stuff, not only in Korea, but I think in Hong Kong and also the United States. He's done a ton of stuff.
I tried to go through each and every actor, and I think he was the only one that I found for sure that had some American movies he had done.
Yeah. Everyone else, I guess, is pretty big in Korea.
Yeah. I could be wrong, but I think there's a couple of K-pop stars in the baseball team.
Yeah.
And the female actresses, a lot of them were famous models or that type of coming from that kind of like supermodel kind of jobs in Korea.
Yeah.
I thought the casting was well done in this movie. Most of them were believable, especially the father who kind of starts off one part. He's almost like the bad guy in the movie, the greedy guy. I'm just going to call him "You Suck." He's kind of like him, and then his pendulum kind of swings back towards our hero of this, which is the other guy.
I think the standout character of this is, in fact, the little girl.
Yes.
Oh, she was fantastic.
Yeah. And to ask a child actor to do what she did and pull it off is just amazing. I thought that all of the cast were very believable. I thought everything just seemed to flow and was just real natural in how they reacted and just how it all kind of played out.
The daughter did a great job of like her disappointment in the father, right?
Yep.
Pulling that off. Also being scared. And then those kind of tender moments with the two older ladies. She did a fantastic job. And big role in the movie. And a key role to have to pull it off, too.
Yeah.
And I love how they had her not only just have people like kind of talk down to her, but then she would snap back at them. You know, I loved her little comebacks to them where, you know, mom said you're a bad person, or, you know, like when her father says you got to look out for yourself and that's why you're divorced.
Right.
Just those little quick comebacks, and she delivered them really well.
And she called her dad on his shit all the time. And
You're lying again.
yeah. And it's like heartbreaking every time you watch it.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing I did notice about this movie kind of right off the bat is how emotional it really is. And this movie could have easily been a drama without the zombies and probably would have been as effective because I believed these characters and I actually cared about all of them throughout the entire film. Even the two sisters, the baseball team, the baseball guy and his girlfriend, all of them. They just did such a good job. Even the crew of the train.
Mm-hmm.
And you know who I really liked, as now that I'm talking about it, was the conductor.
He was fantastic, right?
Yeah.
The one role that I thought the people did the best in were the zombies. I loved the way they moved, they fidgeted, they cracked and popped. They were designed so well, and I really especially loved the camera work on them because it was, to me, I'm a big fan of, of Evil Dead 2, and there's a style of camera work where you have the monster or the creature in focus and the camera doesn't move on them, but the world around them vibrates and moves. And I love that style because that's what really sets me on edge when I see a movie. It's the creep factor of that. And they use that a lot in this movie, and I just really appreciated it.
Well,
I was going to say, I got a sense of that. Some of the zombies are trying to out-zombie each other, and it made the movie better.
Oh, I agree.
There's a take, I'm like, my zombie death is going to be much better than what you did. And kind of that kind of competition maybe within the cast, within the movie. It's like, oh, I can do that much better. Watch me. I'm going to kill it.
And I agree with both of you. And what kind of stood out to me, like you were saying, John, was the way they would contort their bodies and then the way that they would move and snap and pop. And it was terrifying, which is a good segue to zombies. What they did here was absolutely brilliant. And to me, it was a different take on the zombie. I am so used to our American zombies, whether it be the slow George A. Romero or the fast 28 Days Later or Cannibal zombie vampires in a cave. They all kind of have the same attributes. What struck me about these zombies was that they were blind or they couldn't see in the dark, and our heroes used that. I hadn't really seen that out of a zombie before, and I thought it was very well played.
One of the things I love about this movie, and I did a little bit of research on it, was there's a difference between being an infected and being a zombie. 28 days later, they're not zombies in that movie. They are humans who are infected with like a form of rabies. In other movies, they're zombies and they're dead people who came back to life. This movie, while they call them once in the entire movie, someone mentions a zombie, we never are really sure if they are dead people who've come back to life or if they are people who are infected with a virus that is making them act the way they are acting. There was a YouTube I watched that explained how this virus worked, because the people who wrote this movie and developed the movie actually wanted to come up with a real virus and real symptoms and real effects that could create what's happening. And it explains why the zombies couldn't see, why they were acting the way they were, how the infection worked, and all that. And have you ever heard of encephalitis?
Kind of.
Have you heard of encephalitis or
Yes,
ever had
I have.
it? I actually had encephalitis once.
Wait, you're a fucking zombie?
Could be. I could be carrying that gene.
Double tap, G. Double tap.
It's a kind of a virus that attacks your brain, and it really just drains you of fluids. And it causes migraines, causes all kinds of pain. If untreated, you basically dry up, your eyes start to go white, things like that, because they lose all of their fluid and everything. And if not checked, one of the things that it could cause is severe nearsightedness, which is how they're explaining why the zombies couldn't see, because they had severe nearsightedness, so they could only see things close to them. Otherwise, everything else would be severely blurry. They were also saying that because of that, all their other things like smell and hearing and all of that would be heightened. And so one of my questions too was, how were the zombies knowing who were the other zombies? Why weren't they just attacking each other if they just attack anything that they see move? Well, because of their smell was being heightened. In the animal kingdom, animals often won't attack other animals that are sick or have some kind of disease or have a virus, because they can smell the sickness on them. So that's why these infected, these zombie-like people are not attacking other zombies, because they can smell the sickness on them. So it's all these things that the fact that they put in the thought of how to create a perfect infected zombie makes sense. And it brought something more to the movie for me.
That's awesome.
Well, I don't think they really explained a lot, right? But just enough, right? So a lot of zombie movies, that's the big question. Do you get the origin or do you not? Sometimes they explain, sometimes they don't.
They subtly gave it to us when they said that it was the biofactory leak or whatever. And the story is that they were working on the form, I think something called the Hunan virus, which is something that works like encephalitis, almost like a rabies type thing.
I think how they did it in this film is how you're supposed to do it. Not too much, but not too little.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, in my opinion, it was the perfect amount, because I could pick up right away that something was wrong. It was probably man-made. And in normal zombie movies, you double tap them in the head and you destroy the brain and they're dead. I don't know, outside of zombies getting run over by trains or cut in half or whatever, I don't think I saw any of the zombies die.
Yeah, yes, I would agree. They don't show them dying or anything like that.
And what I also appreciated about it was how fast they turned. And I noticed that some of the zombies turned faster than the others, but then I started to think, well, what if you got bit in the leg? It would probably take longer to get up to your spinal cord or your nervous system. So the way they portrayed that was just, again, I'll probably say this all night, it was beautiful.
Well, that's exactly what the filmmakers were trying to show, is that if you got bit, like the characters that got bit in lower areas turned slower.
Speaking of bio leaks and zombie films, Gerard, do you have a favorite zombie movie?
This is right up there. I think it's a really, really good movie. The other one that, The Walking Dead was good for a while. Then it kind of got stale, if it were. But The Last of Us, that series that came out last year, that was fantastic.
Yeah.
That is fantastic. Yeah. So,
what about you there, guy?
I still am a pretty big fan of Zombieland.
Yeah.
Just because I love the combination of the dark, humor / horror type movie.
Yeah. Mine would have to be, if we're talking about zombie films, the original Dawn of the Dead by Romero. I like what he's trying to say there. And this now is right up there as well. This one is fucking fantastic. If I had to describe this movie in one word, I mean, there's a couple of words that come up, but I think the first and foremost word that comes to my mind is intense.
Oh,
this movie was fucking intense. And I felt it. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, they made me feel it. They made me go through it with the characters. Yeah, fucking intense.
Well, let me ask you guys a question about the zombie in the room. Subtitled
About
movies. Subtitled movies. How do you both feel about, a movie that's in a foreign language that's subtitled? Is that
So I watch a lot of foreign movies. I do. And so I'm used to it. So it doesn't bother me. Interesting point or story about that is that I saw Anatomy with a Fall with someone who was from France. And after I asked her, how was the translation? They do speak English, German, and French in that movie. But said, how was the translation? Just, I don't know. I didn't read it. I was listening to it the whole time.
Oh, yeah.
So, I don't know. I'm used to it in terms of like watching and reading in a movie at the same time. So it doesn't bother me. I know for a fact that I'm going to miss some cultural references and that type of thing, stuff that doesn't translate well. The AMC up in Linwood, they have foreign language films all the time. Hong Kong, mainland China, India, Korea. And I've gone to some of those films, and the audience of that, like typically the Koreans will get a joke that I won't get or whatever, like that type of thing, right? They'll laugh at something, or there's obviously cultural references from those countries that are reflected in the story that we have no idea about. Right. But that's just kind of I figured that's the kind of the price to pay, or that's the tax to pay to enjoy the movie. And guess what? All those American movies that we export to the rest of the world, they're in the same boat.
Sure.
Right?
Sure. I, for one, don't mind subtitles because dubbing drives me nuts because the mouths don't match. Mm-hmm. And sometimes that really takes me out of it and annoys me more than anything. So I've gotten really used to subtitles. And I feel like if you're watching a movie, you should experience it the way the filmmakers wanted you to experience it. And so what I mean by that is if I watch it with subtitles, then I have the actors' real voices and their real emotion. If it's dubbed, I get somebody's interpretation of that. If I had to pick, I would pick subtitles any day of the week.
Well, for me, I don't watch a lot of foreign movies. And part of my problem with it is I find myself staring at the subtitles and not watching the action that's going on screen. Now, I normally would have watched this movie just with the subtitles, but when I'm reviewing a movie, I like to take a lot of notes while I watch the movie. And I found myself in the first 5 minutes of the movie looking down and then looking up and seeing I must have just missed something they said, having to rewind it. It took me over 40 minutes to watch the first 5 minutes of the film. So I went on Amazon and I actually found an American dubbed version of this movie that I went ahead and rented, and it actually worked out better for me. Now, I agree with you, Don. It is weird to watch the mouths move differently, and I did catch that sometimes what the American version, what they were dubbing and saying, didn't match the subtitles, and so it made me wonder just how much context I'm actually missing that they didn't dub correctly.
I feel like you miss, I don't want to say a lot, but you do definitely miss some of the translation.
Yeah.
That is for sure.
Yeah, but definitely I can't take notes and watch a subtitled movie.
Well, that just sucks for you, bud.
Yeah, it does.
Sorry.
Where most people aren't taking notes while they're watching the movies. Let's just put it that way.
Well, that's true, too.
There's not a filmmaker that goes, you know what, I got to slow this section down so John can take notes during this scene.
I tried to do that last night, but I was with you. I kept looking down, and I would miss something. And so I just said, fuck it, I'm stop taking notes.
Yeah, but I'm just going to say, for anybody out there who's kind of in the same boat as me, is that if you prefer an American dub version, Amazon Prime does have it available, but I think, Don, you're absolutely right, and Gerard, you're absolutely right. You lose a little something when you do that.
And then I think that's okay.
Yeah. And by the way, Amazon's not paying us. Why do we keep plugging Amazon Prime?
Because we're good at giving people tips and tricks that they come back to hear more.
Okay.
Is it about that time, Don?
Oh, why, yes, boys, it is that time. Welcome to another edition of Master Movie Trivia. I am your reigning champ. You may call me the champ. I have compiled 5 questions and 5 questions only to test your knowledge of the movie we are reviewing. Each question could be worth multiple points, so if you know the answer, say it. And please wait until I finish each question. Let us begin. Question number 1. What is the supposed cause of the outbreak?
A bio leak, or a leak from a biotech factory.
I will accept that. It is a chemical leak from a biotech factory. And I say supposed because it is never confirmed.
Not confirmed.
That's right. What does Suk Woo do for a profession?
Fund manager?
Look at this. I didn't even have to translate the name for him.
Barely got my mouth open, and he was cutting his mouth.
Those are the only 2 I think I'm going to get correct.
2-0. Question number 3. What is the name of the song Suan sings while walking down the tunnel?
Aloha, aloha.
This guy is on fire, Gerard. He's on fire.
I think you guys went over the questions before I got here.
We didn't, and I'm in as much shock as you are.
Well, the best part is after she sung it at the end, had it stuck in my head for like hours afterwards.
Oh, did you? So did I.
Yeah.
So did I.
Oh, and this is the only movie where I was thinking that, is this the only zombie movie where they confirm zombies can't sing?
Yes, I think it probably is. I think this is the zombie movie that confirms a lot of firsts.
Does it make it a musical?
No, it's just one bit. If
she
she was
sings it
singing to her,
twice.
no, well, the first one doesn't really count because it's on video.
Okay.
Question number 4. What delicious fast food chain is Suk Woo eating while at his desk?
Burger King.
Oh, Gerard comes in. Bonus question. What did Suk Yu give his daughter for her birthday?
Wii. Nintendo Wii.
Which he already had.
Yeah.
Well done. And question number 5. What name does Sang Hua give his unborn child before he sacrifices himself for the others?
Oh, I forgot. It's not Penelope, but it's some...
Sang-Hwa Yu or something like that.
It's a really feminine name, right? And it wasn't necessarily Korean. It was a name that I forgot.
I would go with Betty.
Yoon Suyeon.
That's what it was Korean.
Suyeon. Oh, and probably one of the most...
Can I just say Sleepy?
No, because that is probably one of the most heartbreaking scenes of this film.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful scene. Heartbreaking.
I know. Congratulations, comic book guy. You win this round and are one step closer to movie immortality. Fund manager Suk Woo is a cynical workaholic and divorced father. His estranged daughter, Suan, wants to spend her birthday with her mother in Busan. Suk Woo sees a video of Suan attempting to sing Aloha-i at her singing recital and succumbing to stage fright as a result of his absence. Overcome with guilt, he decides to grant Suan's birthday wish. The next day, they board the KTX 101 at Seoul Station, en route to Busan. Other passengers include Suwa and his pregnant wife, Seong Kyung, COO Yu Suk, a high school baseball team including player Young Guk and his cheerleader girlfriend Jin Hee, elderly sisters In Gil and Jong Gil, and a traumatized homeless stowaway hiding in the bathroom. Before the train departs, an ill woman runs onto the train unnoticed. She turns into a zombie and attacks a train attendant, who also turns. The infection spreads rapidly throughout the train.
One thing about the opening scene, right, with the truck and gets hosed down with the insecticide or the bleach or whatever to kill. It was interesting. The second time I watched, like in preparation for watching this, is that the drivers and the people doing the disinfectant, it seemed normal, right? This is not like, oh, what is this? This is unusual. the guy was saying, "You're doing this again. You're going to kill my herd again."
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So there is that. I mean, I've never been to Korea, so I don't know if this is like they do that in places to control pests or whatever and that type of thing. But it does go like, something's going on, because this seems normal to them.
Right.
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 For me, the scene when that truck leaves and hits the deer, and that deer gets back up with the glassy white eyes, I thought that was a great effect.
Oh, I thought it was a great opening.
Mhm.
It's not something that we normally see. You're right, Gerard. They're going through this checkpoint like this. It's like another Tuesday, right? So something in that area has to be wrong, and life goes on. And right there, you kind of thinking, is this normal?
Well, did you catch that the guy even said, I think there's another leak or something, like, like that happens every Tuesday.
So the guy pulls off, runs over the deer, and to me, this was so effective. When the deer pops back up, looks, and you see the white eyes inside, I'm thinking, oh fuck, that was brilliant.
And all I kept thinking was, that deer just went and bit somebody.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah,
so
that's how it spreads.
That's our start right there.
Yeah.
I also like. Do you notice there's no music until the train starts to depart?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
So we're on the ride, and the music is, that's when the ride really starts.
right.
The return to Busan is that you get the glimpse of the top of the stairs of some of the zombies, and then you kind of get a little bit in the station as they go down, and not everybody sees what's happening.
Right.
Only a few people do, and after that, it's like pedal to the metal in an illegal Lamborghini on the Autobahn.
Yeah.
As fast as possible.
Yeah, like we said, intense.
Yes.
Right.
Well, what did you think of our introduction to Seok Woo, this businessman, this fund manager who doesn't seem to really care about people?
I thought that the guy who's playing him, I believed it. And he's an absentee father, and he kind of feels bad about it. I was thinking when I watched it, does he really not care? Or does he care too much and puts work first to make sure that his family has whatever they need? And at that cost, he loses his wife, and now his daughter, I think, loves him, but you can tell that she'd rather be with mom. So I see a guy who is struggling about doing the right thing.
I kind of got the impression, especially like from your opening quote that you used, is that he kind of takes everything for granted, including his daughter, because he figures eventually they're going to understand his sacrifice and his work. And that's all he's really thinking about. Like, he comes home, and when you can kind of hear things going on, it almost seems like she's more of a burden at this point. She's more of, just another thing he has to deal with, another thing he has to take care of, when his mind is really focused on work and all that money.
I took it to be a kind of a statement by the film director about like the expectation placed on young workers in pop in Korea, like the drive to succeed, and how hard you got to work, and and that's kind of portraying or introducing the question: is it really all worth it? Like,
Sure.
obviously, in real Korea, you're not worried about zombies,
Right.
But you are concerned about, hey, like, what are we asking this generation of young adults and fathers and mothers to try to succeed and make money, get promoted, but at what cost?
Right. And so he gets home, and we find out that he's living with his mom, or his mom probably lives there to help with the daughter. And he goes in to talk to her, and the daughter feels like she has to hide to talk to mom because she's under the blankets. And then the dad's kind of like, that's okay. You can talk to your mom whenever you want. She's your mom. And then he gives her the present. And I love the fact that it was a we. And he says, what, you don't like it? And as soon as she looked up, I started laughing because I go, they're going to cut to the we that she already has.
I thought that was brilliant, that they didn't even need to say anything, is that she looks up and he looks over, and there it is.
There it is. Yeah. And it turns out all Suwon wants is to go to Busan the next morning and be with her mom for her birthday. And she's so adamant about going, she wants to go by herself. And so dad's like, no, we'll do it next week. And this is the first time that Suwon's like, you always say that, but you lie. You're a fucking liar, and you're not going to take me. So I'll just go by myself. You know, how old was she? Did we ever find out?
10.
She like 10?
10.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah. And so it's just heartbreaking.
Well, it's heartbreaking too is watching that video of her trying to sing.
Oh, and she freezes up.
Yeah.
Because you notice when she starts up, she immediately looks around the room.
She's
and
looking
you
for
can see
Dad.
she's scanning for her dad.
Yeah.
And you can see the expression on her face of just sadness.
And
that her
disappointment.
father-
And then he tries to pull off that he was actually hiding.
Right.
Right?
I'm always there.
Watching you. Yeah. I actually kind of thought that was cute, but I get what you're saying.
Yeah. She already called him a liar and he put one on top of it.
Yeah. So the next morning, they go to this train station and they're on their way. And the dad has to stop because a bunch of emergency vehicles go flying by. And I thought this scene was beautifully eerie. They roll down the windows. Soo-yeon puts her hand outside and it's all this ash. It's snowing ash.
Yeah. And then we have the fires in the background.
Oh, and then it pans up and it shows the building. I thought that was very effective.
Mm-hmm.
Because in that moment, you're like, oh, that's too bad for them. Let's just go on with our life and go to the train station.
Mm-hmm.
And so they get to the train station, they get on board, and this is where we kind of meet a little bit of the cast of characters. We get the two sisters. We see the baseball team coming on board. We see...
The cheerleader joining them.
What did you guys think of the bit with the cheerleader and the baseball player?
It's one of those cute things that they threw in.
Yes.
It's not necessary to the plot, right?
I was a little
but it
confused.
establishes their relationship is what it does. It's the joke that establishes the relationship between the two of them.
Okay, I was a little confused, and maybe it was because of the American dub version. Were they already boyfriend girlfriend, or was she someone? Because she made some comment about, she chose him, she's got a crush on him, and he's kind of not reciprocating at that point.
Kind of.
How I read it is that someone else on the team was chasing her, and she turned him down in favor of the baseball player. For the guy we're calling baseball player, who, by the way, we mentioned is actually the son in Parasite. He went on that role.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, excellent.
I got a weird vibe, and maybe it's just me, but I got a weird vibe that she was crushing on him, and maybe he was hiding a secret, like maybe he was not interested in girls.
Wow.
And I kind of read that because you
put
notice
too much thought into that one.
he was really kind of just avoiding, showing her that kind of attention. Even throughout the movie, you never see them kiss. You see them hold hands a few times and run, but they seem almost more of a intense brother-sister relationship rather than boyfriend-girlfriend.
My take on that is that he was avoiding the teasing from the rest of the team.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and when she sits down, she says, if I say I like you, can I sit here? And he's like, you should probably sit somewhere else. And she sits down anyway, and she says, your destiny is already set. Don't fight it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you're right. There was supposed to be a cute moment. And what it did for me was it really made me like these two characters right away. I liked the cuteness of it, and I kind of knew that the rest of the baseball team was fucked. But I from the get-go, and every time they introduce a character in this film, I immediately either like them or, in You Suck's case, dislike them.
Well, and this is also an introduction of, I love how they did this. They're introducing characters to us that we want to see survive.
Yes.
That we're already attached to, and that we're already liking these characters, and we're thinking, these people have to make it to the end.
Jumping ahead, how about that scene where he just is hitting his teammates with the bat after they had turned?
Oh, God, heartbreaking.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
With every decision that the survivors have to make in this film, it's either soul crushing or absolutely heartbreaking.
Well, that's the one thing that really sets this movie apart from other movies I've seen in other zombie movies and all that. And kind of came up a little bit in Shaun of the Dead is the realism. It's not, you don't have these superpowered heroes who have luck on their side and they can just take out the zombies right and left. You have like how real people would deal with a kind of a zombie apocalypse, and that they'd be afraid and they'd freeze, and they're not always, striking the zombie and winning, and they don't all make it out. I mean, it's just, I felt like these were real characters.
Yeah. Yeah. And so everybody's on board the train, and the bit where the final guy is outside looking one way and then the infected girl runs right past him, absolutely brilliant.
And it's kind of speaks to the randomness of the infection and the randomness of what happens to you in life, right?
Yeah.
Had he turned or something like that, maybe he would have held her or something like that, and then she would have turned and bit him, never made it on the train.
Yeah, it's the classic sliding door effect.
Exactly.
Well, one thing you brought up, Gerard, earlier about the class system, I love the kind of the dual way they were showing us, here's this girl who looks like just a normal girl who's changing in a bathroom. I mean, she's turning into the zombie in a bathroom. And in the same time, they're showing us scenes of finding this homeless man in another bathroom. And they're all wondering why he's there, and they're all judging him and treating him like crap. And while she turns into a zombie and goes and kills everyone, he turns into a hero later on in the movie.
And that's the classic bait and switch, right? You think you're going to get the zombie, you get the homeless guy instead.
And they did such a good job with it because the zombie girl comes in, she falls down, right? I don't think she ever makes it to the bathroom.
Oh.
But there's a report of an unsavory character, and you as the audience member are going, oh, they're going to finally find the girl. And then out of nowhere, they introduce this homeless guy who I thought, too, at some point was going to be like the guy who accidentally gets somebody killed, right? And he's talking, everyone's dead, everyone's dead.
그들은 모두 죽었어.
They're trying to calm him down, and he's perfectly fine, as in he's not infected. And on the flip side of that, you have this gal who walks down the aisle of the train, all fucked up, doing her little twitch thing, and nobody pays attention to her.
Nobody even tries to help her.
Because they're all minding their own business. And I guess that's what they do.
Not my business.
That's right.
And I love the fact, too, with the homeless guy, we get You Suck, who's talking about how this is what happens to you if you don't go to school and blah, 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 and all this stuff. And I love the girl's response of, Mommy always said, people who say that are bad people.
You're gonna have to either pay or get off at the next stop.
Yeah.
But this homeless guy turned out to be pretty smart in a lot of the decisions he made throughout the movie. I'm going with you, I'm following you, and I'm doing this. And he saved, a couple people throughout the movie. And just, he, even though they talked shit about him, he was a good guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Smart guy.
Absolutely. And when Soo-yeon makes the comment to You Suck about, my mom says only mean people say that, You Suck's response is classic for that character. Well, your mom probably flunked out, so there you have it. What a dick! The infected girl is noticed by one of the staff, and she gets attacked. And this bit I kind of found not humorous, but did you notice that the crew member gal is walking down the aisle and the zombie lady is attached to her back, eating her neck?
Yeah.
Piggyback style.
Yeah, and everyone's like, what the fuck is going on? And this is where we see how fast it turns.
Yeah.
And you're right, Gerard. This is also the bit where we get the score, and now we are fucking on our way, right? The train is taking off. We got some zombies, and shit is about to get real. The group escapes to another car and locks the doors. Internet reports and phone calls make it known that an epidemic is spreading southward across the country. When the train stops at Daejeon Station, the survivors find the city overrun by zombies and hastily retreat back to the train, splitting up into different cars in the ensuing chaos. Suk Woo learns by phone that his company is indirectly involved in the disaster. The military establishes a quarantine zone near Busan, to which the conductor sets a course. Suk Woo, Sing Ha, and Yang Guk, who have become separated by their loved ones, fight their way to where Suwon, Seung Kyung are hiding with Il Gil and the homeless man. Once regrouped, they struggle through the zombie horde to the front of the train, where the rest of the passengers are sheltered. At the prompting of Yu Suk and the train attendant Kai Chul, the passengers prevent the survivors from entering, fearing that they are infected. Xiang Hua sacrifices himself to give the others time to force open the door and enter the car, but In Gil is killed.
One thing that I really liked about this beginning part, again, we're kind of seeing the transformation of the father in that, did you notice when everybody was kind of running the cars and trying to get to a safe car, the father character, was it Seng Woo, closes the door on our hero and his pregnant wife.
Yeah.
And so he's kind of, he's kind of like you suck in that regards, is that he's thinking about himself and thinking about his daughter and screw everyone else.
Maybe. He says it was because he was trying to save everyone in there. And this virus is spreading fast, and you are very confined in a train. And what I kind of found interesting was the reaction time of people who saw zombies and then just kind of stood there trying to process of what was really going on, and all this chaos is happening. And finally they're like, oh fuck, we got to move. Right. And so they do such a good job of building the intensity in these moments that I was just blown away by it.
The train station where they all get off, right? That looked like the cast had so much fun.
Yeah.
doing. So they get the people walking down the stairs like, oh, they're the military. And then all the military guys turn around and they ended up being infected and start running up the stairs.
That's kind of a mind fuck, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, they get off. And it's at this point, too, that Suk Woo uses his connections and he can get him and his daughter to a different checkpoint and be safe, because they're going to quarantine everybody. And whatever that means, they don't want any part of it. So Suk Woo and his daughter break off, and the homeless man overheard the conversation, so he follows them in the train station as well.
Did you catch that when, I don't know if it was translated in the subtitles, but when he was looking at his phone and contacting that person that kind of gave him the advice, he had him listed as a lemming, just as someone who's like a patsy who could help him.
No, in ours, it was this analyst Kim.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's how it came up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And this leads us to a bit where I really liked, because the movie is so intense and so much shit is happening on a train that every once in a while we'll stop the train and get off. And you would think that it gives us an audience a moment to breathe.
No.
Not even close. What they do is they give us an intense scene and they put it in a bigger surrounding.
I love the father with the pregnant wife, saves his ass again, right?
Yeah.
Lets him in. And then they struggle to lock the door. And as soon as, not 5 seconds after they lock the door, run away, the whole thing collapses anyway,
And
right?
I kept wondering myself, at what point does that glass break? And before they get through the door, the dad is going through some transformations of his own, because he leaves his daughter for a second to go talk to the military soldier, who obviously is a zombie. And when he turns back, he knows he can't get to her in time and that he fucked up. And luckily for us, our hero and his wife come in and save Sun Yan, and then they take off. And just when you think the dad is going to get his comeuppance or, kind of go out like that, the homeless guy saves him.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of what would you do in this moment kind of flashes through this movie, because you suck is the other side of that coin, as we'll get to. But the father is seeing that these people are making selfless decisions for strangers. And so I think that might help turn them around a little bit. And they get to the door, it busts open, and now they got to fucking move.
Well, exactly what you were just saying. I came to the same thought, is when that father was walking down the hallway and then turned back to look at his daughter, who now is in trouble. My first thought is, this is his moment that it just dawned on him how much he has not been there for his daughter.
Yeah. And so they're at this station, and the survivors are trying to move their ass to get to the train.
Well, here's my issue with the station. We've been told that this is possibly a place where the military has taken charge and it's a safe zone. But did you catch when they got off the train? First of all, there's no soldiers. It's been abandoned. To me, those are two quick signs that something has happened here. Something has gone wrong and the military had to flee.
Well,
So
yeah.
I would already be thinking, I'm not going to be the first down that escalator. I'm going to be the last down that escalator.
If it were me, I don't even know if I had gone down the fucking escalator.
I'd already be suspecting maybe it's better to get back on that train.
And what I love about the set design in this film, and it happens at the stations and anytime the train stops, really, is it's the aftermath. So we know something has happened. You'll get a smear of blood on a window, or you'll get luggage that looks like it was ripped open with blood on it. Whatever happened already happened, and it was bad. And you just get that sense with the set design, which I really appreciated. And so they need to get back on the train. The conductor is like, this station's fucked. We got to move on. And You Suck is like, you got to take us to Busan. I'm rich. I have people. You got to take us. Move this fucking train now. And the conductor's like, well, there's still survivors out there, dick. But he gets his way. And so we have Hiro's pregnant wife, the daughter, and the two sisters, and baseball guy's girlfriend. They're all on the train.
It's the classic chase.
Yes.
Right. It's the classic chase.
Yes. And the guys that need to catch the train are baseball boy, our hero, and the father. And they're running and they grab it. And I think this is also a point where the father changes. Is the hero is having is taking a second to catch up to the train, and the father's out there reaching out for him, so he makes it.
Well, this is another great thing I thought in this movie is our father, who, the father figure, who we thought, in a typical movie, he's going to be the hero of the movie. He's the one that's going to be beating all the zombies. It's really the side character that we call hero that is the one that's beating. He grabs that shield, he grabs that baton, he kind of runs off to the side, he starts beating the hell out of everything. He's the guy with all the superpowers and everything, and not our main character.
And then I love that, they're running from the zombies and all of a sudden glass breaks and they're falling from the sky. Right? So not only are they like running like street level, right? They're falling from like buildings onto the train, plopping on the pavement, getting up and chasing people.
And we get to the bit where our heroes, we'll just lump them together, are in car 7 and our survivors are in like car 13 or something.
Well, right before that, was it an oh fuck moment to you when all the baseball players are running down the stairs and they're about to get on the train and like all of them get jumped except for the one and his girlfriend?
Well, I think it's kind of understood in the zombie movie. Not everybody's going to make it.
Yeah.
Right? It's just a matter of in what order and who.
Mm-hmm.
Were they jumped outside or did they get back on the train?
They were coming down the
stairs and they kind of appeared from like around the stairs, like from the other side of the stairs. Yeah. There's some zombies that reached across and got them.
Well, they must have gotten back on the train because a heartbreaking scene is coming up.
Well, that was other baseball players.
Remember, it's a baseball team, right? So there's a bunch of them. So I don't think everybody got off the train.
Gotcha.
Right? That was very clear that some people are like, I'm not getting off till we know for sure. And then there were some people that were like, let's go up, and that's happened.
They were also bitten earlier, I think, a lot of the baseball players.
Yeah, and as they're making it back to the train, you have to remember that they have all these zombies on the train that can't get off. But these two passengers, open up the doors, and some of the zombies start exiting, which gets less zombies on the train. But there is still a shit ton of zombies between our heroes and the survivors. And I think it was this whole bit from them getting to
car 7 to go to 15 or something like that.
I think that whole bit might be my favorite bit in this entire movie. It is so well done and so well paced. And earlier on, they told us that if the zombies can't see you, they can't come after you. And so they put newspaper up on the windows and everything starts to calm down a little bit. But now you have these three trying to make it through cars where there's no room. And what the fuck are you going to do? Right? And this is also the bit where we get a tender moment between our hero and the father and just more likable moments for these characters. I barely knew Baseball Boy, but I cried when he died. Right? Because the time I did get to spend with him, I loved it.
Whose death was the most crushing, though?
We'll get there.
Okay.
We'll do that at the end.
Yeah. How about that shot when they're trying to not make the noise and all of a sudden there is a noise and they go, the camera just swoop right at the homeless guy and he sees like, oh crap, I effed this up.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, it's a great shot, great moment.
Yeah. And I like the bit when they figure out that when they go through tunnels, the lights turn off and it's like you turn the off switch on the zombie.
That's what I was just about to bring up is I loved that transition that you've got these creatures all coming at them and fighting and all of a sudden They're just nothing.
Yeah. And so they have to get past the zombies, and they know it's in the dark, so they come up with the phone idea.
Fun idea. Like there's a tunnel coming up in 2 miles or whatever.
Right. And so our 3 heroes hide. They throw the cell phone down the aisle. They call. All the zombies go one way. They go the other way. Fucking brilliant.
And I love that they combined it with some great dialogue at this point.
Oh, the humor was fantastic.
The fact that the guy's like, I forget what the hero had said to him.
Why do you have such a tacky ringtone?
Then the father says, why do you have such a tacky ringtone? And he makes some comment and he goes, well, how do I change it?
Yeah. Yeah. So good. And in the meantime, Baseball Boy calls his girlfriend to let him know that they're alive. And so she starts saying, yes, they're alive. They're coming. They're coming. And then you sucks like, fuck that. They could be infected. We are the elite. Nobody is getting in here. I'm going to build a fucking wall. People are such assholes.
Yeah.
The one regret that I have is that I was not be able to see this in a theater with 100 people. It would have been crazy.
Oh, I agree.
Crazy.
I agree.
Crazy good.
Yeah. And so they get by the one zombies, and then they figure out they're going to have to fight, and they get to the baseball guy's chums.
And yeah, our baseball player, he freezes.
Well, because he's got to kill his friends that he went to school with. And I mean, just could you imagine? Luckily for him, our hero and the father are able to take everybody out. But my God, what a fucking moment.
It's a moment you don't expect in this movie, is what it is, right? Is that, you know, someone that have not only like the baseball player has his friendship, and now his friends are gone. He's facing that, but it's also like the emergency or the urgency of hitting them. It's that conflict, the grief and the terror, and it can't move past it. That's what freezes him. I think it's both the grief and the terror combined, but it just makes for the scene.
And I think you put it best, unexpected moments. This movie is full of unexpected moments that I didn't see coming, which is probably why I liked it as much as I did. And so our heroes continue to make it toward the survivor car. And when they get there,
there is that point where they meet up with the girls, right? So they say we're in the bathroom halfway through. Right. So there's that part. And then the full group tries to get into the last car.
Well, one of the things I love too is even before when they first start going through all the cars is when our hero basically says, I'm going to take the lead. I'm going to be in the front. Baseball player, you're going to be in the middle. And you, father guy, you're going to be in the back. Don't fuck it up.
Right. And they do. They go down and kick some ass. And they're able to reach pregnant guy's wife, the daughter, and the homeless guy, and the sister.
The sisters.
Yeah. So it's the 7 of them, if you will. And now they have to make it again through a fucking car of zombies. And now there's more of them. And they do have a tunnel coming up. So what do they use? The luggage racks. What did you guys think of the bit where they use the luggage racks and then they're able to get to the survivor area?
Well, we get the homeless guy falling from the luggage area into the chair, and immediately I thought, oh, he's fucked.
So did I. But
I thought,
father subverts our expectations again, and he goes to help him.
do you think he went to help him out of his heart's getting 3 times bigger, or do you think
the bonding?
the daughter is
bonding's
watching?
done. They're just bonded right.
Yeah.
They're a crew now.
Part of me
Bonded
thought
crew.
maybe he was doing it because the daughter was watching.
No.
No.
I think they are in full survival mode, and they have bonded, and they all want to survive. This is no joke.
But then again, you're right. The homeless guy did save him when he put the blindfold on the zombie that was attacking the father.
Yeah. And this
That's
comes
another cool bit, right? Because the zombie sits up, is like, what happened? Where did everybody go?
brilliant. Cover their eyes. Yeah, he just stops. The little off switch. And so the father saves the homeless guy. They make it into the car before the survivor car, and it's shown to us, the audience, that the survivors have tied the door shut so they can't get in.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a perfect example of the human element and fear and what it can do to a group of people. And so they have to bar the other door and try to get the survivor door open. And this probably comes to, I'm going to say, number 2 of the most heartbreaking scenes of this film.
Well, here with the car that's, the people that are tying off the car, again, Gerard, you talked about the class system. Here we have the You Suck character, who's probably our highest elite character. He's probably, at the pinnacle. And so I felt like that's why maybe everybody else was listening to him, including that little conductor guy. They're all listening to him and taking orders from him because he's at the highest class.
I get that. But there's also, we're here, the door is closed. Why knock off the apple cart? I'm not trying to justify it at all. But you're like, if you're already safe and you're safe, why introduce any kind of danger into the situation?
If it ain't broke,
don't fix it.
Right. And there is that side of it, and there's also the human side of it, I think. But what you're talking about, Gerard, is kind of that fight or flight defense. And what happens is you're right, John. They do listen to this guy because he is the elitist. Mm-hmm. And it's too bad it turns out that way because it causes a needless death. And this is the death that I fucking hated. But you knew it was coming. I mean, if you thought our hero was going to live throughout this whole thing, I would have been surprised.
I thought possibly he was going to go. I also had a theory in my head that maybe him and his wife would survive and they would adopt the little girl. That maybe that was going to be the twist.
Kind of.
So,
I mean, we almost got there.
Just widening it up a little bit. A lot of some of the movies that Korean movies I've seen, one of the themes that you can point to is this theme of sacrifice.
Well, you bring up a great point about the sacrifice. Earlier on, when we were mentioning about the heart-to-heart talk that the father and the hero were having, I think it's Sang Hwa, or our hero, basically said to the father, it's all about sacrifice. He said, one day your family will understand the sacrifice. And one of the things I like to bring up every podcast is foreshadowing. And that kind of foreshadows his own death, the hero's death, as well as the father's death in the end when he sacrifices himself. Because really it is all about sacrifice.
So they're trying to hold the door closed with all the zombies coming in. And naturally our hero gets bit. And what got me not only was the wife's expression and the realization that he's fucked, but as he tells the father to get her out of here and to protect her and just get safe, as they're going away, he turns around and he says, "This is our daughter's name." And I fucking cried like a baby, man.
What a moment.
And that's what this movie does that I don't think any horror movie has done for me, and it makes me feel that kind of that tragic emotion, or that real emotion. Yeah, we talked about Shaun of the Dead and how tender it was when the two, Shaun and Ed touch heads as they're gonna die, but it didn't have that same impact as this one did, because as we've been saying all night, this one feels more real.
Well, my oh fuck moment in this movie was that woman, that old lady's head, that zombie woman's head, when it's popped up.
Yeah, I was wondering how that happened. Did the zombies get underneath her and lift her?
I don't know. It was just so creepy and so quick, and it bites him, and you just go, oh fuck, and you know that he's gone. And then he has it, besides saying the daughter's name and all that, he has that badass moment that he picks up a zombie and uses that zombie as a barricade to hold the rest of the zombies back. And to me, that is like one of the most badass ways I've ever seen somebody go out.
And he's fighting it. He's fighting the turn until the very last second to when he dies and we lose him.
Yeah.
In the meantime, I always thought that You Suck was a shitty character, but what really sold it for me as they're trying to get into the car, You Suck is looking through the window and he's looking at the little girl. Obviously, she's not bit. Obviously, she's just fine. But he doesn't fucking care. So when the father cold-cocks him, I fucking loved it.
Well, one of my first thoughts is when the father knocked him down and the guy started yelling, "They're infected, they're infected." And, even though he knows they're not infected, my first thought was, I would have bit the motherfucker. And basically now said, you're part of our group now. We get sent to the front, you get sent to the front.
That's good. That's good. I didn't even think about that.
That would have been really good, right? Yeah. I mean, it would screw with the storyline, but it still would have been good.
And in a real instance, I'm with you, bud. I would have done the same thing.
Yeah.
Yu-suk and Ki-chul and the passengers demand that the survivors isolate themselves in the front vestibule. However, Jong-jil, disgusted at the passengers and despairing about the loss of her sister, deliberately opens the door and allows the zombies to enter and kill the rest of the car's passengers. Yu-suk and Kai-chul escape by hiding in the bathroom.
No, that's not apparent at the time.
Which one? That
Right,
they were hiding?
That they're hiding in the bathroom.
No, I assume that Yu-suk and the other dude got it too.
I
Yeah.
thought they were gone. I thought we were finally rid of him.
And you know what? I was rooting for the sister.
Well, when taking a step back, when we see the sister who died first, in that car, that was another kind of heartbreaking moment when she just looked over at her sister and I'm done. This is as far as I go.
Absolutely, it was a
Because
heartbreaking
she
moment.
knew she couldn't rush to the next car.
And the way the sister who was in the survivor car was acting, I almost thought that like she was bit and it was just taking a minute for it to get to her because she just kind of seemed out of it. But no, she was really just kind of out of it. But then when she sees her sister die and she sees the atrocities that are happening, she fucking had enough. And so when she gets up to go open that door, I was fucking rooting for her.
Yeah, she was delivering karma to all of them.
Yeah, because our heroes get banished, luckily,
Saves them.
to the vestibule. And this car opens up and everybody's fucked. And I was with you, Gerard. I was shocked that Yu-suk and the conductor dude got away.
Yeah, and it's like that another reveal, right? What do you got left? Oh, by the way, audience, like 10 minutes later, oh, no, you're getting rid of this guy yet.
This was one of the few scenes that bothered me a little bit because I went back and rewatched this. And if you do rewatch it, Yu-suk and the conductor aren't near the bathroom because I think the bathrooms were near the doors. And they weren't near the bathroom when that door opened up. So they would have had to fight their way through the zombies to get to the bathroom. So I don't know how, I don't see Yu-suk being capable of doing that.
I do, because look at the way he survived.
He would maybe thrown people in the way.
That's probably what he did.
Mm.
Agreed. And then the conductor guy just kind of rode his coattails, I guess. A blocked track at the East Daegu station forces the survivors to stop and search for another train. Yu-suk escapes after pushing Kai-chul into the zombies. A flaming locomotive derails, separating the group and trapping Seok-woo, Soo-yeon, Seong-kyung, and the homeless man underneath a carriage filled with zombies. Meanwhile, Yu-suk runs into Jin-hee and Yuk-guk, pushing the former into the zombie in an attempt to escape. Heartbroken, Young-guk stays with Jin-yi until she turns and kills him. The conductor starts a locomotive on another track but is also thrown to the zombies while trying to save an injured Yu-suk. Seok-woo finds a way out from under the carriage, but the escape route is shortly afterward blocked by falling debris. The homeless man sacrifices himself to buy time for Seok-woo to clear the debris, and he, Soo-won, and Seong-kyung manage to escape onto the new locomotive.
One of the things I love about this part of the movie was when I guess we're calling him a conductor, but it's really the train engineer.
Right.
Like goes, oh, attention everybody, we're stopping now, and if you can get off and you're safe, you can meet me on the other side and get on the other train.
I'm going to the left.
Yeah.
Go to the left. Like, and just like such a matter of fact announcement. He could have said, we're arrived, everybody. Have a nice day. Thank you for traveling XYZ railway. See you next time.
Well, my first thought was when we get to see this conductor up front is all these people have seen such atrocities, such violence, such horror. He hasn't seen any of it. He hasn't had to deal with any of it. He has had nobody come after him. So
Oh, no.
He's just been calm and everything in the front.
That's not true.
That's not true.
You don't think
He the first time he stops the train. He gets off the train.
He gets it off the train.
Oh, does
Not
he?
only that, but he's also in contact with like the central command or whatever, like by radio. It's off and on. So he's getting news reports of what's going on.
And there's also a shot of him looking out the window as the train's going, and he's looking at the destruction and the smoke
Yeah.
and stuff. I think he has a pretty good idea of what's going
I'm
on.
just saying
He's
he hasn't
gotta
had
go
to
through it
fight for his
alone.
life like the others.
He's
Not
got to
yet.
get through it alone. That's his kind of thing. But,
Yeah.
oh, no, he's quite aware of this situation.
Oh, agreed.
Now, when it comes to Yu-suk and the other conductor guy in the bathroom, And the conductor goes, "Is it all clear?" "Yeah, sure. You go first." I would not have trusted you suck one moment. Would you have gone first?
No, I saw that coming a mile away. You knew Yusuck was going to throw him because, yeah, he said it was clear, and clearly it wasn't. And so now Yusuck is trying to make his way off the train by throwing other people and survivors in the way of the zombies. And in the meantime, our heroes, the father, the pregnant wife, and the daughter, and the homeless guy, they make it off the train, but another train's coming and
The flaming train.
and it derails.
What a great shot.
Oh my God, it was gorgeous.
Yeah.
And practical, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's one of the things that, again, bothered me a little bit about the movie is when they are trapped underneath and you got the window with all the zombies pounding on it. Did you notice how clouded over that window was? And you could only see the hands? How were the zombies seeing them? If they weren't seeing them, wouldn't they have been less active?
No, I don't know. The smoke was probably irritating them, and the ones in front, there's something in front of it, so they probably just pounded on it.
Yeah, I don't know.
And it could be one of those, the glass is not necessarily a one-way mirror, but it's clearer on the zombie side than it is on the outside.
Oh, maybe.
Right.
Sure.
There's
I
that
just
kind of-
assumed that it seemed awfully weird that they could see them down
Yeah,
in a
'cause-
dark area.
I thought I chalked it up to kind of production design, because as our heroes are laying under the wreckage, having the image of all those zombies, just a plane of glass with just a pane of glass separating you, fucking chilling.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And so back on the train, Yusuck is trying to get off, and the conductor had said, "I found a locomotive. It's to the left. Everybody get to the left. I'll try and wait, but we got to get the fuck out." And so Yusuck runs through the train, and he runs into Baseball Girl, and he throws her out of the way, and she gets bit. And when Baseball Boy sees it,
He's just done.
so I was done.
Well, did you think that he
did
was?
not, she did not kill him. He died because his heart broke.
Yes.
But did
Right.
you think that was the way he was going to go out, or do you think he would have left her, held her for a sec and then left her before she changed?
No,
No.
I think as soon as he,
His heart broke and he was dead.
yeah, I knew exactly what was going to happen. As soon as he grabbed her, I thought, oh, he's going to let her kill him.
I thought the same thing because he froze up when he saw his other players. His heart was already broken at that point of seeing his friends that way. Now the trauma of losing her too, he's now lost everybody.
And as not to have kicked us in the balls already just then, now we're going to get kicked in the balls again, because the homeless guy is going to turn out and be a hero and sacrifice himself so he can help pregnant mom and daughter and father escape.
My thought at that point too was the homeless guy looks at the pregnant lady, looks at the daughter, and says, "I can't be a dick here. I gotta save them."
Yeah.
If you were the one to get out and they died, that'd just be a huge dick maneuver.
Well, the only person who would ever have to live with it is yourself. And
Yeah.
if you can get over it, then
We missed another kind of heartbreaking moment a little bit, at least for me, was when our father character called home and got his mom on the phone. And you could hear her
my God,
and you could
yes.
hear her change over the phone.
Oh,
what I love about this scene is they don't show us.
No.
Again, it's the perfect balance of showing and not showing in this film. Less is more. You hear her transform over the phone. Oh,
Even she calls the little girl's mom a bitch. And
Yeah.
that's right at the point she has given into this rage, given into this anger, and you can see on his face he knows he just lost his mom.
yeah, that was a heartbreaking scene.
So we have the scene of Yusuck running across the train yard, and he trips over a track, and the conductor sees him. And my first thought is he's gonna fucking sacrifice the conductor. He's just that much of an asshole.
Well, yeah.
Here's all these people who've tried to help him, and he's just been an asshole.
well, you want the character to be consistent if you're the filmmaker, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that is very true. And you want the audience to really not like this guy.
Yeah.
And guess what? I really don't like this fucking guy. And what's even another kick to the balls is they do it with the conductor. And we've all three of us have said all night, we like the conductor.
Yeah.
And so when the conductor does the right thing
Like,
and goes to help him, you're just like, ugh.
Let him die.
Yes. But no, he doesn't. And he saves him. And of course, you suck, fucks him over, gives him to the zombies, and he manages to make it to the locomotive.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, father, daughter, and pregnant wife are running toward the train to make it as well.
She can run pretty fast for a pregnant woman.
Well,
Your life's on the line.
Yeah, exactly. I think your performance increases dramatically if you got zombies behind you.
I agree. After fighting off zombies hanging on to the locomotive, they encounter You Suck, who is on the verge of turning into a zombie and is begging for help. Suk Woo manages to throw him off but is bitten. He puts Su-yeon and Seong Kyung inside the engine room, teaches the latter how to operate the train, and says goodbye to the former. In his final moments before he turns, he reminisces the moment of Su-yeon's birth before throwing himself off the locomotive. Due to another train blockage, Su-young and Seong-kyung are forced to stop the train at a tunnel just prior to Busan. The two exit the train and continue following the tracks on foot through the tunnel. Snipers are stationed on the other side of the tunnel and are prepared to shoot at what they believe to be zombies, but they lower their weapons when they hear Su-young singing Aloha-i in tribute to her late father. Roll credits.
The whole thing of the zombies attaching themselves to the back of that train, creating that whole like ladder and everything, I thought that was also creepy as hell.
That's that's my favorite shot in the movie, is when they're all running after the train and starting, and it's kind of like if zombies could talk. Hey Harry, hang on. We'll use a ladder, like the cooperation part, right? And then when they finally get detached, like I want the rest of the zombies to like point their finger at the one zombie who fucked the whole thing over, going, "Ah,
you dumbass! You're the one that let it go." Yeah, I thought that shot was brilliant, and the way they all just kept adding up and adding up, it was fucking creepy.
It kind of felt like, oh my God, here's another scene where they're possibly fucked.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
you see him just stomping at them and nothing is happening because they're not feeling the pain of him stomping on their hands.
Right. But eventually he gets them off, and it's just those
Gets
three.
them off.
Yeah. And he goes to the...
He starts heading to the front of the train,
Yeah.
and here comes...
Well,
You
no, he
Suck.
opens the door, and You Suck sitting right there.
With that, which we never know how he got bit or where he got bit.
I'm guessing it was before the conductor.
You think so?
Yeah.
I think so.
But how, just going back a minute, how fun must it have been to do that scene as an extra, just running after that train? How fun that must have been.
And I'm pretty sure how they do it is they put something down on the track and everybody lays down and they're actually being pulled.
Like
Yeah.
on a big cloth or
Yeah,
something.
something like that. That would be so much fun.
So when You Suck gets up and he comes out and he's almost digressed into a childlike form, calling for his mommy and everything. My first thought was I would have fucking thrown him immediately from the train.
Oh, I
I wouldn't have waited for him to transform. He would have been gone.
Yeah, no. Well, I feel like the
You gotta
father's
be
reaction
careful.
time.
Yeah, you got to be careful.
But I also feel like the father's reaction time throughout this whole movie has just kind of been slow.
Yeah.
So you do have to be careful because obviously he wasn't. But priority number one is get rid of this motherfucker.
But you know when he changes, he's going to become this rabid animal that goes into hyper mode. I would have gotten rid of him before he goes into that hyper mode.
Well, he kind of tried, but
Yeah.
it didn't work out. And he gets bit.
Well, he doesn't just get bit. He lets himself get bit to stop the guy because the guy kept turning around to go after the pregnant lady and the daughter. So he practically pretty much put his hand in the guy's mouth.
Oh, I don't know about
So it
that.
looked- well, if you're
I
going to
think
hold
he
a zombie
kinda
by the
hooked- I
chin,
think he tried to hook him around the shoulder, and his arm went up. I
don't think he let him bite him by any stretch of the imagination. That's just me. And so they finally dispose of him, and the father looks down and sees that he gets bit, and he knows his time is limited. And so he does the smart thing. He puts them both into the front of the car. He teaches the pregnant woman how to operate the train. And then he tells his daughter goodbye.
Let's go back a little bit. So there's that point where he calls the clerk, or they hook up back on the phone, and he's like, "Are we we're responsible for this. We publicize this company. We have people invested. We're responsible." And the father says, "No, we're not. No, you're not." Right? Absolves him of that sin. But then he's washing his hands, trying to get the blood off his hands, and the symbolism of like, he knows he's indirectly responsible, and there's the sin, and there's blood on his hands, and that's really the signal that he's not going to survive. To me, in this movie, right?
I assumed he wasn't going to survive because it's a zombie flick, and I kind of had put it in my head that it was just going to be the little girl, because I totally saw pregnant mom becoming a zombie and zombie baby.
Oh, I don't know if they're going to pull that off.
But I am so glad they didn't do that. Let me just say that.
Well, what they have done in other movies similar to this, or shows, things like that, is if the baby had died in the womb, the baby sometimes becomes a zombie and eats its way out. And I kind of thought, if they're going to get gory, if they're going to get gruesome, maybe that was going to happen. But as soon as the father, the hero, named the baby, I knew this pregnant woman had to survive.
Oh, that's good, because I wasn't so sure, and I am so grateful that they didn't give us a zombie baby.
I did have an inkling for just a few seconds when they were in that tunnel. Are we going to end like, was it the Day of the Dead or Dawn of the Dead?
Night of the Living Dead.
Night of the Living Dead, where, the hero gets shot in the end because the soldiers think that they're zombies.
Right.
Well, it's a callback. It's a complete callback to that, right? That scene is a callback to the exact ending of that movie.
Oh, yeah. But before we get there, the scene that I just absolutely fucking lost it was Dad has already turned, or is on his way to turning. He's at the back of the train, and he gets to remember holding his daughter for the very first time. And he gets to have that moment of happiness before it takes over him. And the look he gives the camera and that smile he gives, it looked like pure joy underneath hell.
Well, my thought was probably the last time he ever felt that level of joy and happiness was holding his baby for the first time. And he's now been taken back to that. He's almost, his whole journey, his whole arc has taken him back to that moment of pure joy and remembering what it was all about in the first place.
Yeah.
And that I love too, again, talking about some of the camera shots, we didn't see him fall off. We saw his shadow fall off.
Oh, it's so poetic.
Again, less is more of just seeing that was very poignant to me.
Oh, I agree. It's one of my favorite shots. Because he sacrifices himself, and we don't need to see it. We know what's happening, and just the emotion on the little girl's face too, because we cut to him as he's smiling and getting ready to move on, and then we cut to the little girl through the window of the front compartment, and she is just going fucking bananas, and it's kind of silent, and such a moving scene that I was not expecting it in this type of film, and this movie just kept blowing me away. And so father's gone. It's just these two. There is another blockage, so they have to stop the train, and they're walking through the tunnel, and we see the military. And I thought for sure, I was with you, John, I thought for sure they said kill him, the screen was going to cut to black, and then you heard 2 gunshots. I was so happy. If there's such a thing in such a depressing movie, but I was so happy to hear that little girl start singing, going, that's fucking brilliant.
Well, the thing I thought too is it was a little bit of foreshadowing earlier on in the movie when the father was talking to her about the song, and he said, you didn't finish the song. You always have to finish what you started. And at the finish of the movie, she finishes the song, which saves her life. So that, again, kind of, like I said, it was a foreshadowing how this movie was going to end, is with the song.
And so they don't shoot them. We assume they survive. We cut to black. And that was the train to Busan.
So after this movie is said and done, did you get the moral to the story? Did you get what like the whole allegory of the story was?
Don't be a dick.
If you screw others over, it'll come back to bite you in the ass in the end.
Oh, is that what you got?
Mm-hmm.
Mine was, don't live somewhere where a biotech leak is a common thing.
Yeah, it just happens and people just brush it off.
Yeah.
This for me though, it's a great piece of cinema. A lot of thought behind it. Production design was there. It looked like it was a lot of fun to make, right? Overall, just a fun. I mean, obviously not a hard subject in certain spots, but just a fantastic movie.
Yeah.
Did you hear that there is a possibility of an American version of this movie coming?
Yes, and I'm kind of disappointed. They want to put it on a train in New York.
Yeah, it's called, the title of it was The Last Train to New York.
Yeah.
And it was supposed to be released, I think they've actually already filmed it. It was supposed to be released April 21st, 2023, but then it just, I don't think they've given a reason. They removed it from the schedule and they have not had any new release date added.
Which probably means it sucks.
Yeah.
Well, if it's an American version of a Korean film, it sucks.
Welcome to a new segment we like to call
Face the Wheel.
The premise is simple. I will spin the wheel and whatever category comes up, John and Don will apply it to the movie we are reviewing. Once they have presented their idea, it's up to you, the listeners. Let us know via social media or our website which idea you like best. And here are the categories: mashup, plot, rename, genre, reboot. Fuck it. I liked it better when it was called spin again. Pick any. Add any character from any movie. And here we go.
The wheel has landed on plot.
So we've got to come up with a different plot to this movie, but we love the plot of this movie.
I know, but that's the point of the game, right? You got to come up with a different plot.
I think if I was going to change the plot a little bit, I would still do the zombie thing. I would still do, I don't think I would even reference zombie. I would do the 28 days later, that they are just rabid. They are just rabid humans that are just biting and eating and just angry and killing people. Maybe I would do it on a plane. It'd be a little bit different on a plane because there'd be a lot more confined space, but you'd have kind of the baggage area. You'd have different parts of the plane. You'd have outside the plane. How would you get away from zombies on a plane?
Well, you wouldn't, first of all. And I mean, that doesn't really change the plot. And I don't give a fuck what anybody says. Rabies, undead, what's the fucking difference? They're monsters. Mm-hmm. That's the point, right? But I get it. People are purists and they love the rabies versus the undead bit. If I were to change the plot, I think my plot would be they are on a train. It's the father and daughter, but they're going to go see the mom in Busan. And the plot is there is a bomb on the train. So not zombies, a bomb. And the father stumbles upon the plot and he has to prove that he's not a piece of shit and he saves his daughter and the train. Basically, it's Die Hard on a train.
So, if I were to change the plot, I'd be our COO, kind of the enemy guy, right? Making him a military like attaché instead, and his mission is to deliver this chemical to North Korea and launch the zombie apocalypse there. But it gets loose in the train before it gets to Pyongyang. So the race really is to, can they contain the zombies long enough to not get them in South Korea, but let them loose in North Korea instead. So that's the race.
So the whole plot of the movie is to infect North Korea with zombies.
Yeah.
Hey, we'll take your idea and John's idea, and we'll just crash the fucking plane in North Korea, right? Or no, we can have them jump out because we know it doesn't kill them.
Well, the father at the end has to take the zombie virus bomb and jump off the train to sacrifice himself.
I love it. See, every week we come up with new ideas for new movies.
Your combining of our two movies actually is a movie kind of that I saw about 2 years ago, a Korean movie, Emergency Declaration. Let me just read the description.
Oh, please do.
Take your seat. While investigating a terroristic threat that goes viral online, Korean authorities discovered that a suspect has recently boarded an international flight bound for the United States. When the healthy passenger on the same flight suddenly dies a gruesome death of an unknown cause, panic surges in both in-flight and on the ground. With steadily decreasing fuel and an international refuses to offer aid, the captain and crew will be forced to take an unprecedented emergency measures in an attempt to save the lives of their passengers.
There you go. Inadvertently, we came up with it.
Yeah, but
Or we stole it.
Oh, that's probably better.
I will say though that it's a not typical Korean movie, but it's obviously there's no zombies in this movie, but there's this kind of like virus in the movie. It plays the same way.
Yeah.
It plays the same way. It's not as good as Train to Busan, but you can definitely see it's in the same kind of genre.
Yeah.
And there you have it, listeners. Let us know via social media and our website who you thought had the better use of category. And that concludes this week's
Face the wheel.
One thing I want to go back to is I was talking about earlier is the root of this zombie rabid virus kind of thing. The filmmakers had designed it to be based off of a kind of an encephalitis type virus. One of the things encephalitis does is it drains you of all fluids. So by that theory, if that is the case, that is the background of these zombie-like creatures, then their fluids would be constantly just evaporating, disappearing, and being used up. So by that regard, scientifically, in 3 to 4 days, they would start to dry up. All of their muscles and everything would start seizing, and the whole apocalypse would be over.
And then that night they would figure out what some people had figured out on the train about the darkness portion of it, right?
You would think.
Yeah.
You would think.
Because this happens in less than a day, right?
Yeah.
This is less than a day time-wise in the movie.
Yeah, maybe they do. Maybe they do dry up in 3 days and just die.
Yeah.
It's not like a cure, though. They don't get their father, their hero back. They're dead, right?
Well, I'm not going to spoil the next movie, but that's what I think really should have happened in this movie, is that it was one of those things that, yes, you have the apocalypse, but then it's over, and I would love to see how the world deals with that afterwards.
Well, I don't know. I think less is more.
Yeah.
And if you think about it, too, we don't know if this got out past Korea or if it was just confined to Korea.
Oh, I have to assume it's worldwide.
You think
Whenever I see something like this, I just assume it's the entire world, and this is how we're going to go.
Okay.
So, I don't think zombies are discriminate toward different countries, even if it is man-made.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure at some point the U.S. had something to do with this biotech chemical thingamadoodle anyway. All right, what do you guys think? Are you guys ready to rate this flick?
So I'm ready to rate this flick. John, are you ready to rate this flick?
Ready? I've got my bullet train ticket punched and my zombie dodging skills ready. Let's throw a few poor folks at the zombies for diversion and ride this baby all the way to Busan.
Wait, are you you suck all of a sudden? That's crazy. Note to self, Gerard, let's not ride the train with John.
Noted.
Normally, this is where the professor would tell us how we do our ratings, so I will go ahead and do that real quick. We rate our movies from 0 to 5 fucks. 0 being a movie we don't give a fuck about, and 5 being cinematic gold. So, there you have it. Gerard, you brought this movie to us. Would you like to go first, or would you like us to go first?
I'll go first. That's
All
fine.
right.
So, First, a comment on your rating scale. You guys are way too into decimals. You got to do half or whole numbers only. That's my recommendation going forward. None of this 4.75962 fucks that you guys are giving all the time.
We don't. It's
We give quarters.
quarters.
Yeah,
Go
no.
quarters.
Half or whole numbers.
All right. You know what? Noted. How about that, bud?
He's going to hate my rating.
So I will say, just as some background, I think that Korean cinema is fantastic. There's some really, really good films that have reached mainstream America, that have reached art house America. Really, the one that everybody knows about, obviously, is Parasite, which won the Best Picture a couple years ago. And then this year, Past Lives, although some of that's in English, it is also a Korean movie, was nominated for Best Picture this year. And they're not afraid, at least Korean filmmakers are not afraid to broach either taboo or controversial subjects. So for the listeners out there, I think there's a lot. If you haven't watched Train to Busan, by all means, I'm going to recommend that. But also there's some other Korean movies that I think people should check out that are worth your while. So against that background, this is a really, really fun popcorn movie, right? With not only intense scenes, but emotional scenes between family members, between couples, between sisters. And like I referenced earlier, the zombies are never the enemy, right? In these movies, there's usually some antagonist. In this case, he's the chief operation officer. But it takes you on a range of emotions to heartbreak, but also you're just like screaming and like raucous laughter because of zombies falling from the sky off helicopters. It's also, like we've mentioned a lot of times, less is more and that type of thing, but it almost seems like a perfect balance of all these different elements that people like to go to movies for. There was just enough family connection, just enough horror, just enough gore, just enough action, all wrapped up in a nice tight bow for 2 hours and 2 minutes, I think is the runtime. So my rating really is 4.5. And I think the only half missing for me is I'm sure that I'm missing stuff that's lost in translation, that's meant for the Korean audience, that I'm missing. So kind of like hopefully through some way I can gain some understanding of some from a Korean background and give us some more understanding of that. Maybe we'll get to the 5. But it's a fantastic movie. It's one of my favorites. I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. So 4.5 for me.
4.5 fucks from Gerard. You or me, guy?
I'll let you decide.
Okay. I'll go next.
Well, you go next.
Thanks, buddy. I was very, very pleasantly surprised by the Train to Busan. I had heard about it. I had watched the trailer. I knew I had wanted to watch it. And then when Gerard said, hey, let's do this movie, I was like, fuck yeah. I didn't mind the subtitles. I thought the cast was wonderful. I thought the production design and just the look of the film was beautiful. The tone of the film was beautifully tragic. And they did such a great job conveying emotion and having that perfect balance between, like you were saying, gore and horror and comedy and drama. I mean, it really does touch on all of the elements with the exception of maybe comedy. It's not very funny. There are a couple of lighthearted moments, but it wasn't meant to be funny, right? If I had to describe this movie in one word, I would say it's fucking intense. Would I watch it again? Oh, yeah. Have I become a fan of Korean cinema? Maybe. I'm definitely open to checking out more Korean movies. Just the way they're put together and just the love and respect that is shown whilst making this movie, it comes across on screen. Yeah, I am absolutely blown away by this movie. So I'm going to give The Train to Busan 4.75 fucks. And that 7.5 was just for you, Gerard.
Fair enough. Your guys' podcast. I'm just along for the ride.
The train ride.
There you go. Nice. You're up there, buddy.
Okay. Before I start, Don, do you want to guess what my rating is going to be?
Well, I am, to be honest, very surprised with how receptive and open you were to this film, because I know that you don't like subtitles, and there's nothing wrong with that. We all have our different likes and not likes. So I was curious to hear how you would talk about this movie, and going solely based on what you've said tonight, which is what I can only do, I really think you loved this film, and so I think you too are going to give it 4.75 fucks.
Final answer?
Final answer.
Okay. Really quick, when Don first mentioned this movie to me, I was a little taken back. I was like, is this going to be an artsy flick? What is it? And you just kept saying over and over again, watch the trailer, watch the trailer. And after I watched the trailer, I was like, okay, we need to do this movie. So I was totally great with this movie. From just seeing the trailer, I think I was already hooked. Train to Busan is not just your typical zombie flick. It's a great example of how character dynamics and development should be done in a film. At its core, the film revolves around passengers aboard a speeding train, each with their own fears, flaws, and strengths. One of the best examples of this is the journey of Seok Woo, as he evolves from someone similar to Yu Suk, a greedy, selfish man, to standing up and showing the strength of a protector, much like Sang-hoo, to eventually becoming selfless like his daughter when he sacrifices himself. Moreover, the film expertly utilizes its cast to highlight various aspects of humanity, from altruism to cowardice, showcasing the full spectrum of human behavior under duress. Through their interactions and choices, we witness the complexity of human nature and the resilience of the human spirit in the face of unimaginable horror. We don't have the perfect hero in this film, and I appreciate that. We just have an ordinary man thrust into a life and death struggle who survives, as long as he did, through ingenuity and a will to save his daughter, and, well, a shit ton of luck. That's until, well, his luck runs out. I also appreciate the thought and research that went into crafting the zombies. You can see that the filmmakers actually did their homework, as there is actual scientific basis for how this zombie works, spreads, and operates. There's a video on YouTube called The Brain Necrosing Virus in Train to Busan Explained by the Roanoke Gaming. They did a great job of breaking down how the filmmakers applied real-world viruses and their effects to create these rabid zombies with limitations that actually make sense. Overall, Train to Busan is a gripping emotional journey that will leave you invested in its characters. It's the first movie in a long time that I couldn't guess who's next or who's coming back. I found myself voicing out loud, "Not him." I have to admit, when I first heard that we would be reviewing a subtitled movie, I was already dreading it. But if you're looking for a realistic zombie movie with the right amount of suspense, horror, gore, and development, this is the one to watch. So for those reasons, I'm giving Train to Busan 4.75 fucks.
That's a bingo. Fuck yeah. Do I know this guy or do I know this guy?
Well, you've done enough podcasts with him. You could probably figure it out.
Yeah, well. With 4.75 fucks from me, 4.75 fucks from the comic book guy, and 4.5 fucks from Gerard, we will only be using the average between the comic book guy and myself. That gives the Train to Busan an average of 4.75 fucks, which puts it in the number 3 spot.
Wow.
Tied with Lethal Weapon, Kill Bill Volume 2, Die Hard, The Shawshank Redemption. It is slightly better than Goodfellas, Pulp Fiction, Black Panther, and Stand By Me. And it is slightly worse than Jaws, The Dark Knight, Raiders of the Lost Ark, and Ghostbusters.
Okay.
So it's
I can
up
get by
there.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, the way I look at it is The ones that are better than it, would I watch those over this movie? Yes. The ones that are worse, I could see myself watching this movie again over those other movies.
I think with what it's tied with at the number 3 spot, if you asked me what I wanted to watch, it would definitely depend on my mood.
Yeah.
Because they're all right there. And Gerard, I got to say, thank you so much for telling us to review this and suggesting it. It's been a long time since a horror movie, especially, made me think and made me go, oh, that was fucking awesome.
It's a great movie.
Oh, it's fantastic. And I fucking cried like a baby through the entire fucking thing. All right, that is going to wrap it up for this episode of Three Guys in a Flick. If you would like to know which movie we're going to be reviewing next, please check out the website. Speaking of which, hey, John, where can they find us?
Well, they can find us at www.threeguysinaflick.com, where we go ahead and post all of our podcasts, show notes, anything else we feel like putting on it. There's also a web form on there that you could submit a movie you would like us to review next. You can also find us at everywhere that hosts podcasts, as well as all of social media.
All right. I just want to thank Gerard again for coming on and pinch hitting for the professor. Did you have a good time?
I had a great time. Thanks for having me again.
Absolutely. And thank you for the suggestion. We look forward to more of your movies in the Bronco helmet.
As long as they're not subtitled.
Oh, no. I welcome the subtitles, my
I
man.
think from now on, I should only do subtitle movies.
I tend to agree with you that.
Why do you hate me?
Hate you? You just gave it a 4.75. Trust the process, my brother. Trust it.
The American dubbed version.
I also want to thank anyone else who listens and who has suggested a movie. If you keep listening, we'll keep recording. For Three Guys in a Flick, I'm Don.
I'm John.
And I'm your guest, Gerard. Thanks for listening.
Coming to you from a bullet train on its way to Busan, my name is Don. Yeah, that rhymed.
Oh, for fuck's sakes.
Bite him. Bite him.
Yeah.
That's my impression
I
of a
will,
zombie.
I will whoop your ass.
You know I hate zombies.
Yeah, I know.
Aloha. Aloha.
Can you guys keep doing that while I read the plot?
Zombies don't sing.
No, but little girls do. I would hope that I would be able to survive a zombie apocalypse with you. Can I trust you, or am I gonna turn my back and you're gonna stab me in it?
He's going to slow you down with all the memorabilia and all this stuff he's lugging around.
John, you better drop that fucking Thanos and move your ass.
You take a baseball to my head. No problem.
Hey, if either of you turned into a zombie, I would fucking end you. But I would expect you to do the same thing if I turned into a zombie.
I do want to bring up, though, Don, you asked, you'd expect the same if you became a zombie. No, I'd be locking you in my shed to play video games.
Hey, this isn't Shaun of the Dead, dude. I'm going to eat you. Listeners, you can't see this, but the comic book guy was just in deep thought because it is that time for our podcast. And Gerard, if you haven't listened or if you do listen, this is the part where we give a porn name to the movie that we have been reviewing. You got one?
I do have one. Do you have one?
I have one, and
I didn't want to get too vulgar with mine because there was an easy one, but I didn't like it.
yeah, well, no, if it's too vulgar, we don't want. I mean, if you don't feel it, then don't say it. Mine is Train on Busan,
I was very close.
like running a train.
I was very close. Mine was Train on Ms. Busan.
Oh, I thought that's even better.
I don't got one.
I didn't think so. His listeners, Gerard's face right now is he's like, "What the fuck is wrong with you guys?"
What?
It's Busan, not Busan.
Busan?
Yeah.
Have I been saying it wrong this whole time?
Sure. We already said we were butchering the names like in the beginning.
Well, but with that one, you could have at least told me. All right. May all of your days and nights be filled with happiness. All right. Fuck off. Good night.